The sound of the South.
Alan Newman at breakfast.
BBC Radio Solent.
Let's turn our attention to the Isle of Wight this morning. It's an issue that affects every family, doesn't it? The summer holiday. On the Isle of Wight, they are potentially about to bring back a 2-week half-term break in October. That will mean that the summer holiday will be 5 weeks long instead. Here's Debbie Andre, the Cabinet Member for Children's Services, Education and Lifelong Skills at the Council.
We had an absolutely phenomenal response. We had 3,257 responses. And I'm really pleased that that was from a wide range of people, from parents of primary school children, parents of secondary school children, from teachers, importantly, and from the business community. I think it's fair to say as well that obviously other factors that come into it, in terms of a lot of families on the island, the summer is their busiest season. So we do have to consider a lot of factors, but the responses that came back did give us a clear steer. And people seem to want the 2-week October break.
Not all parents are happy about the idea, though. Earlier I spoke to Hayley Woodward, who's a mum of 4 from Sandown, to get her thoughts. Have a listen to this.
I love the summer holidays. We're on the Isle of Wight. Everything caters to summer. Don't get me wrong, it's a hard month to budget for. However, you're not continually having to say no to your children because there are free activities to partake in, because the weather's nice, because there's free festivals on, fetes, carnivals. So I just think there's so much for children to do in the summer. We should be making the most of it. Summer month's great. If we want to go out for a full day, we can go out for a full day because we can pretty much guarantee the weather's going to be good. We don't need to look for an inside venue. We can take a picnic or grab a cheap bag of chips. In the winter months, to go out, first of all, if we're going to do an outdoor event, we have to leave it last minute-ish because we need to see what the weather's like. Then if the weather's going to be naff, we're going to be looking for an indoor venue. Well, a lot of indoor venues on the island are things like bowling, roller skating, cinema. Now, as a family unit, just for that couple of hours activity, we're paying between £30 and £70. That's before we even consider food. We can't do that on a regular basis throughout October half term. And I'm sure a lot of other families can't either.
So interesting take there. Peter Shreeve is from the Isle of Wight National Education Union, joins me on the show. Peter, good morning. What do you think about this idea?
Good morning. Well, I think the issue is quite simple. It creates many unanswered questions and will likely create further unintended consequences. All secondary teachers know that the autumn term is the most important section where academic learning takes place. Learning does not occur in a straight horizontal line. It's an uphill climb, and the steepest section is the autumn term. It's like going up Everest and then finding a ledge and having a rest before you get to the top. That's exactly why most island secondary schools last time around kept their 1-week October half term. And what is sadly lacking is the evidence that this holiday move has sound educational foundations. It would have been useful from an educational viewpoint to see more evidence based on the research rather than just the summer holidays learning loss. We need more pros than cons, and at the moment it's not clear we have them.
Right. I'm not sure about the ledge analogy you're using. 1 week in October is a ledge, but 2 weeks in October the ledge is too big, in your opinion?
Yes, I mean, that time, particularly for secondary schools, they're looking at taking mocks, results. They've just got youngsters particularly in year 7 and exam classes, just settled into school, and then we're giving them a long break.
According to the council, they had a lovely mixture, their words, a great response, a mixture of different people, including teachers, overwhelmingly, depends, that's a word you can use with statistics, in favour of this idea. Why would teachers be in favour of this idea?
Remember, not all the respondees were teachers. They were parents, they were children.
Yeah, of course, but there were teachers in there, weren't they, responding, saying they think it's a good idea?
Yeah, I without looking and knowing who actually responded in terms of statistics, I suspect from those staff working in the secondary sector probably are against, on the whole, a 2-week October holiday, and those lower down may well be in favour. I think a 2-week holiday anyway will not be taken by all island schools, thereby forcing even further fragmentation on island education. And we know historically on the island that over the last decade, schools have been working out of sync with different structures and agendas, and this has not helped the island's education system to improve as a whole. And I'm really interested in the education side. But
the council is responsible for council-run schools. It isn't their fault in many ways if academies don't follow. So the island asks people, would this be a good idea? Over 3,000 people respond, and statistically, overwhelmingly, they like the idea, citing certain things like a lot of people on the Isle of Wight work in tourism, so a 6-week summer holiday is really hard to achieve, with employers giving time off. A 5-week holiday is easier, and it also gives them the ability to perhaps go away in October when prices are slightly cheaper with their children. I can't imagine. I find it hard, Pete. I've got children myself. That extra week in October makes a lot of educational difference, whether it's 2 weeks, 1 week, or a week and a half.
Well, one of your earlier callers have already pointed out one of the issues with having holidays in the October half term. You have to forget the Isle of Wight is one of the areas living in quite a lot of poverty. They have huge numbers of food banks, and a lot of these families, parents and children, cannot afford to take holidays off the Isle of Wight.
Yes, no, I concede that point. I do see that point that Hayley was making. It's easier to entertain children in the summer, but also you've got 5 weeks. I suppose if you've got 6 weeks and there's 2 of you raising a family, you've got 21 days each between you, and summers are expensive. Most families have someone in them who is working. They don't all have the luxury of having someone at home. Generally, Peter, before you go, this idea on the data you've been given, do you support it, or at this stage, do you oppose it?
I have a very strong personal view, but as a representative of the NEU, I have to look at the evidence. And the evidence at the moment, for me, it's not overwhelming. What we're going to have more fragmentation. And if we look at parents and families, if they have 2 children in different sections and different schools, you may find that they have different holidays, and that's not going to help.
So that at the moment you would oppose the idea until you've got more information?
Yes, I think that's a fair assessment.
Peter, thank you for your time this morning. That's Peter Shreeve from the Isle of Wight National Education Union.